What's going on, guys? Today, I'm going to be talking to you about Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age for the PlayStation 4. Now, a little history lesson for all of you. The original version of Final Fantasy XII came out all the way back in 2006 for the PlayStation 2. And the Zodiac Age isn't an HD remaster of that version of the game, no. In 2007, Square Enix released an updated version of Final Fantasy XII, which was called Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Job Class System, or something along those lines. And that's what we have the HD remaster of. Now, I've never played the original version of Final Fantasy XII, so my review is going to be strictly based on this version of the game that I just beat. Now, in Final Fantasy XII, you take the role of Vaan, who in the beginning of the game, without giving too many spoilers away about the game's story, the king is killed, your brother's framed, and Vaan's initial motivation is to kind of reclaim his family's, I guess, name after they've gotten a bad rep. Now, like a traditional RPG, there's a bad guy, and this guy, his name is Vayne in this game, and you basically meet a whole bunch of teammates, a whole bunch of team members, and you all set out to take down Vayne from basically causing mass war between two different nations of Ivalice. Now, that's where kind of traditional Final Fantasy and RPG elements end. So, one thing that Final Fantasy XII does is it introduces the Gambit system, which hasn't been used since, but it kind of is like an auto battle system that when you upgrade your character, you have the ability to gain additional Gambit slots. And Gambit slots are basically actions that a character can perform if certain stipulations are reached. For example, if a character's an ally status is KO, like if they're knocked out, a character has the ability that when it notices that, they'll use a Phoenix down on that character to basically revive them without you having to play or do it yourself. Now, to me, this reminds me a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where it basically was an auto battle system, which was fine, but certain different things were manually entered, like special moves. And just like this game, use your missed abilities, which take the place of basically limit breaks from earlier games. You can basically set this game up to auto battle the whole time, which is actually very fun. The one thing that Zodiac Age also does is, to my understanding, the license board, which was basically the board that you use to upgrade your character's ability in the original game, was generic across the board. Zodiac Age splits that up, and it sets up specialized characters, basically. So initially you can set up one character, or you can set up your characters to have one ability, whether that be like a black mage, a white mage, a swordsman, and you basically throughout the game get the ability to unlock a secondary board for them, so you can continue to upgrade them and get them stronger and allow them to do different things. Now, traditionally in RPG games, you just buy equipment, you can equip it. In the Zodiac Age and in Final Fantasy XII, it does it a little differently. You have to unlock the ability on your license board in order to be able to use that certain equipment. So just having the equipment isn't good enough. You have to basically unlock the ability to use it, which is cool. It makes you want to level up your characters. It basically gives you nothing but the option to level up your characters. That's the one thing the Zodiac Age is kind of cool about, is the fact that it does things differently than traditional Final Fantasy games. Now, graphically, the game looks like a PS2 game, which isn't bad. The game still looks fine, minus the voiceovers. The mouth acting is absolutely horrendous. But as an upscaled PS2 game, it still looks, it's relatively playable. By saying it looks like a PS2 game is no knock to the game in itself. You can just tell that it wasn't like a PS4 developed game. It has aging to it. None of the textures are really updated. Some are, but it basically just looks like an upscaled PlayStation 2 game that's meant to be played on an HD TV. Now, that aside, one thing Final Fantasy is known for is having fantastic soundtracks, and this game is no slouch in that department. As you guys can probably hear in the background, amongst other things, I have the menu screen on still because I just beat the game right before doing this review. And the music is beautiful. The worlds are beautiful. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot of optional side quests and missions to get different espers. That's right, espers, summons, they return in this game. And, you only get a certain amount through the initial story playthrough, and a lot of them, maybe half of them, are optional, that you have to do side quests and beat them to get these different espers that allow your character to basically be stronger than they are. Now, I leveled up my characters to around the 50 range before going into the final boss, and I thought I was going to be underpowered. I thought I would have to completely level them up because naturally, all the Final Fantasy games I've played, I get to the ending boss relatively easily, and then the ending boss comes and I suck. In this game, I guess I set up the gambits well. I had enough items in my inventory, from remedies to potions to Phoenix Downs, that the final boss actually wasn't too difficult. To my understanding, in the original version of Final Fantasy XII, everything difficulty-wise was toned up. And the fact that, you know, they've adjusted the difficulty definitely helps out in my favor. Another option that I was very happy with in Final Fantasy XII was the fact that you have the ability to speed up time and speed up your characters. There's like a 2x speed and a 4x speed mode, which basically makes your characters look like you're fast forwarding through the whole game. Now this came in handy. In points where I would die and get like sent back to my last save spot after getting so far, it was awesome to use that ability to basically get me back to where I needed to be without an issue. Also, certain boss fights, because everything's based on an auto battle, because of the gambit system, you can get through boss fights relatively quickly. I know I used it in a couple of boss fights, and it all worked out in my favor. The only thing you got to make sure is your characters are set up so that you can get through these boss fights without really having to pay attention much of what's going on. And if you do have to pay attention to what's going on, you are able to react quick enough to either heal your characters or revive them, stuff along those lines. Now, the gambits aren't all there from the get-go. Like, you can unlock gambit slots, but then you also have to go to a gambit dealer to unlock the certain actions and, like, you know, the abilities to do certain things under certain circumstances. I know that might sound confusing to you right now, but all in all, when you're playing the game, it makes a lot of sense. Now, I picked up this game on Black Friday last year for $30. It was on sale. And the game is about a year old as of its re-release, so it's 12 years old as a game in itself. And I overall liked Final Fantasy XII. I definitely recommend giving it a play, especially if you guys like RPGs, but not RPGs that you really have to stay on your toes with, like you do. But by using the gambit system, anytime you get into battles, you can just watch your characters go away and destroy the enemy or get destroyed by the enemy. And all in all, it makes for a very interesting dynamic, and I do think Square Enix should bring back the gambit system in a future game, even if it's more of a side game and not a mainline game. Final Fantasy XII, worth the pickup. The soundtrack's beautiful. The gameplay is very different than traditional Final Fantasy games, especially until that point where everything was still turn-based. However, I do believe at the price tag of $30, and I think it's probably even going for 20 at this point, the Zodiac Age is worth the play. There's added trophy support naturally for this generation, and it only takes up 40 gigs, and it's PlayStation 4 Pro enhanced for any of you guys wondering. Like I said, the main drawback I would say is that it feels like a PS2 game. It looks like a PS2 game, voice acting is absolutely atrocious, but as a game in itself, it plays fantastic still. I can see why Final Fantasy XII has gotten such rave reviews across the board from back in the day, and even the Zodiac Age got a great review. So guys, that's my thoughts on Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. If you've played this game, leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you thought of it. As always, thank you for watching this video. Like this video, share this video to all your friends, subscribe to my channel, go check out all my other videos. Until next time, guys, go check this one out, and you guys have a fantastic day.